Have you ever looked into the eyes of someone you trusted, a friend, a partner, a family member, and caught a flicker of something cold? A fleeting moment where the warmth vanished, replaced by something darker, something ancient, something the mind tries to deny. Most people turn away from this knowing. They tell themselves it is imagination, that loyalty demands blindness. But the soul keeps the score. The body keeps the memory, the tension in your chest, the sudden chill in your skin, the hollow silence after certain words. These are not accidents. They are ancient alarms. They are the self-whispering that you are standing too close to hidden hatred. In my life's work, I learned a brutal truth. Betrayal is not born in open conflict. It is seeded in silence. Hatred does not always storm through the door. Sometimes it stays for years, smiling, laughing, touching your shoulder with familiarity, while quietly poisoning the air around you. The unconscious cannot hide itself forever. It leaks through the smallest gestures, the slightest shifts of tone, the cracks between words. And if you dare to listen, if you dare to see, you will understand that survival demands recognition. Today, I will reveal the 8 hidden signs that someone close to you secretly hates you, not to create fear, but to awaken your sacred right to see reality as it is. Because the soul betrayed by blindness suffers far more than the soul wounded by truth. Hatred rarely arrives shouting. It first appears in 1,000 tiny cuts, a forgotten birthday, a sarcastic comment disguised as humor, a dismissive shrug when you reveal your dreams. These moments are dismissed by the conscious mind as trivial, but the body records them with perfect clarity. The stomach tightens, the breath shortens, the smile falters. These are microaggressions, born not from carelessness, but from the shadow, the part of the psyche that houses resentment, envy, rage, and shame. When the persona, the mask we show to the world, tries to hide true feelings, the shadow finds ways to bleed through. Sarcasm becomes the weapon of the powerless. Passive aggression becomes the language of the repressed. In subtle slights and ambiguous jabs, the true nature of the relationship is revealed. Consider how many times you have brushed off the feeling that a comment wounded you deeper than it should have. How many times you have excused cruelty as humor, meanness as misunderstanding. Every time you dismiss these small betrayals, you teach your psyche to distrust itself. You wound your own knowing. The self does not speak in explanations. It speaks in reactions, in instincts, in the magnetic pull towards safety or danger. Pay attention to the moments you feel unseen, undermined, or subtly mocked. They are not isolated incidents. They are the surface fractures of a deeper rupture in the relationship. In dreams, these betrayals often appear as scenes of confusion. A trusted figure handing you a broken object, a friend disappearing in a crowd. The unconscious always tells the truth. It is the conscious mind that must decide whether to listen. Another sign, far more insidious, is the coldness that follows your victories. Watch closely. When you achieve something meaningful, a promotion, a creative success, a personal breakthrough, do they celebrate with genuine warmth, or do they withdraw? Do their congratulations feel hollow, perfunctory, forced? Hatred cannot applaud the flourishing of its object. It can only tolerate it with gritted teeth, or worse, reinterpret it as a personal attack. In the language of psychology, this is the shadow projecting its own sense of inadequacy onto you. Your success forces them to confront their own unlived life, their own abandoned dreams, their own wasted potential. Rather than face this internal void, the unconscious mind shifts the burden outward. You become the enemy, the threat, the mirror they cannot bear to look into. Sometimes, the resentment surfaces in strange, awkward compliments. Other times, it reveals itself in pointed silence. But the message is the same. Your growth threatens the fragile scaffolding they have built around their wounded ego. In dreams, this often manifests as a friend who turns their back as you ascend a staircase, or as applause that fades into silence when you take the stage. These symbols are not random. They are warnings from the deeper self that your light is no longer safe in their presence. The soul recognizes long before the mind admits that not everyone who smiles at you desires your ascent. Some, suffocating under the weight of their own failure, can only hate you for daring to rise. There is a hatred more subtle than insult, more corrosive than open attack, the steady, persistent undermining of your spirit. They offer advice, but it is not meant to elevate you. It is meant to instill doubt. They speak of realism, of caution, of lowering your sights, always framed as concern, always draped in the illusion of care. But beneath these words lies a deeper truth. They do not want you to grow, because your growth threatens the fragile equilibrium they cling to. In Jungian psychology, this phenomenon is a defense mechanism of the shadow. The shadow fears exposure. It fears the unraveling of its comfortable illusions. When someone close to you sees you stepping beyond the boundaries they have silently set for you, their unconscious need to protect their own false security compels them to sabotage your vision. You may notice how their voice shifts when you speak of your ambitions. You may notice how they plant seeds of hesitation in your mind. Over time, if unchecked, these small seeds grow into forests of doubt, suffocating your true calling beneath a canopy of fear. In dreams, this form of betrayal often appears as paths that vanish when you walk toward them, or loved ones offering maps that lead nowhere. The self is warning you. Trust your vision over their doubts. Trust the fire inside you more than the water they sprinkle on it. Advice that makes you smaller is not love. It is resentment, camouflaged as care. There is an ancient truth that your body knows even when your mind is confused. You feel more exhausted after being with them than before. This is not imagination. This is psychic reality. Hidden hatred creates emotional tension, and that tension bleeds into the shared field between two souls. In the framework of the collective unconscious, every unspoken hostility, every denied resentment, vibrates beneath the surface of conversation, infecting the atmosphere with a heaviness that drains the spirit. You find yourself second-guessing your words, minimizing your emotions, shrinking your true self to avoid invisible punishments. And when you leave, you feel hollowed out, uncertain, fatigued. Pay attention to this exhaustion. It is a sacred warning. Your soul is fighting a war that your conscious mind has not yet acknowledged. Energy does not lie. Where love exists, energy expands. Where hatred festers, energy withers. It begins with a joke, a small remark, a story from your past shared in a way that makes you the fool. At first, you laugh along, convincing yourself it is harmless. But the laughter tastes bitter, especially when others are watching, especially when you see the flicker of satisfaction in their eyes. This is not humor. It is humiliation disguised as play. Beneath it lies a primal instinct, the unconscious wish to lower your status, to wound your dignity without being called cruel. In the architecture of the human psyche, competitive resentment festers, where the shadow cannot accept another's rising light. They cannot stand against you openly, so they chip away at you when you are most vulnerable, when your guard is down. Pay attention to the laughter that leaves you feeling small. Hatred often wears the mask of humor, and by the time you recognize the cruelty, it has already begun to hollow out your trust. You feel it in the pauses, in the glances, in the questions that are not really questions. A constant unspoken measurement. You are not simply loved or accepted. You are being assessed, compared, judged. Every achievement becomes a contest. Every mistake becomes a quiet victory for them. This is the battlefield of silent competition, and it is more corrosive than open rivalry. In the depths of the unconscious, the animus and anima create battlegrounds within relationships, shaping dynamics of dominance and submission that neither party fully names. Someone who secretly hates you does not want you to fail spectacularly. They want you to fall just slightly beneath them, to remain close enough for comfort, but never enough to eclipse them. In their mind, your success threatens the fragile narrative they have built around their own worth. Beware the ones who turn friendship into a silent race. In their hearts, you are not a companion. You are an adversary they dare not confront. Long before the mind admits the truth, the soul knows. You feel the tightening in your chest, the hollow silences, the strange weariness after every encounter. You tell yourself you are imagining it, that you are being unfair, that loyalty demands you dismiss these feelings. But intuition is the language of the deeper self, the voice of the unconscious speaking through sensation and unease. When someone close to you secretly hates you, their mask may deceive the mind, but it cannot deceive the body. Dreams, sudden anxieties, and persistent discomfort are not accidents, they are signals. In my work, I found that the self, the totality of who we are, cannot tolerate lies for long. It demands recognition, even at the cost of comfort. If your intuition screams, do not silence it. Hatred hidden in the heart of a loved one is a poison, and your soul fights to keep you alive. The deepest wounds are not inflicted by strangers. They are inflicted by those we let closest to our hearts. Hatred that wears the mask of love is the most dangerous form of betrayal, for it corrodes not only our trust in others, but our trust in ourselves. Carl Jung taught that individuation, the true becoming of the self, requires an unflinching confrontation with reality. It demands that we see not what we wish to see, but what is. If someone close to you harbors secret hatred, it is not your duty to fix them, to win them over, or to explain away the signs. It is your duty to honor the truth your soul already knows, to protect the sacred fire within you from those who would extinguish it with silent contempt. If this truth resonated with you, I invite you to share your reflections below. And if you seek not just answers, but transformation, join me on this journey. Subscribe, and let us walk the path of awakening together.